Peace and blessings, beloved. Come here to be educated, empowered, enlightened, inspired, motivated, and challenged to be critical and independent thinkers. Let's get to it.
And this is where I don't like you anymore. Culture. I came here today thinking me and you were similar. But sitting around this table, I know that me and you are so worlds apart.
One Bronze Palmer!
You're a bum from Alabama who's getting knocked out.
I don't know when it's gonna come, but it's gonna come.
Skinny
it's
little
gonna
man.
Be that very moment.
You're a basketball player. You came into boxing at 21 years old.
Right.
I've been doing this all my life. I beat men like you 7 days a week.
Peace and blessings, beloved. I pray all is well with you and yours. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the latest addition to the What's Beef video series. Tyson Fury versus Deontay Wilder. And in this coverage, we're going to take a deeper look at the concepts of psychological warfare, body language, and manipulation. And we're going to pair those with the following concepts, as I think they all pair up quite nicely, particularly with this video that we're going to use as a primary backdrop. And those concepts are psyching, whether we're talking about psyching self up or psyching someone else out. And then we're going to take a few of the laws of power from the 48 Laws of Power book. And we're going to look at Sun Tzu's Art of War and see how war tactics are described and how they correlate to one or both of the combatants for this upcoming boxing match. And then lastly, we're going to look at the idea of visualization and how people often use and misuse it. And we're going to discuss the importance of not getting wrapped up in the wrong side of visualization. And then separately from that, we're going to touch on the concept or the idea of possession, in this case spirit possession, as you'll see brother Deontay Wilder allude to this, and Tyson very adeptly picks up on it and runs with it, and you'll see how he employs his own brand of psych warfare against Deontay.
Deontay Wilder and the lineal champion Tyson Fury, and it's one which will set pulses racing across the world. Both guys here now, face to face. How does it feel looking across the table and seeing him?
It feels damn good, if I may say that. It feels real good. That's my emotions, that's my feelings, because me and this man have a lot of history together, you know, and it's been going on ever since before we was champions. And to finally be able to have this moment right now, to share the ring with him right now, it means a lot, you know. It's the right time. Back then, you know, looking up on today, looking back, it maybe wasn't the right time. But right now it's the right time, and I can't wait.
And Tyson, when you look across the table and see him, what emotions do you feel?
I feel as if, like he said, it's our right time to fight, you know. We're both world heavyweight champions. I'm unbeaten, he's unbeaten. He's 40 now, I'm 27-0. And the most important thing is, we're both willing to put it all on the line against each other. We're not holding back anything, there is no secrets, it's straight there.
This fight seemed relatively easy to make. Is that because you both wanted it?
Oh, most definitely, hands down. You know, when two champions want to fight, they're going to fight. No one's going to get in their way. No one's going to hold them back. When a guy don't want to fight, that's when you start seeing different things starting to shift, starting to change, different tones in their voices, the action, it shows.
Alright, and so I use this clip to set the table and the tone for how this face-off began with a display of mutual respect, one for the other. And as you'll see how this face-off unfolds, that does shift during the entire interview. And what's important to understand is that while one could start off with a healthy respect for you, it doesn't take long if that individual is astute and observant enough to pick things apart that will cause him or her to no longer have that respect for you and to no longer like you or even want to be in your presence. And then vice versa, you'll be able to be that astute and observant to know who you need to respect, who you don't need to respect, who you need to keep around you, and who you do not need to keep around you. And so again, this introductory clip will set that table quite nicely for us.
We both step in the ring, it's gonna be, you're gonna see the best of both of us. We're gonna bring the best out of both of us. And this is what's buzzing about. This is what happens when the best fight the best. You feel the intention in the air. When people stand around us, they get nervous already. Because this fight right here brings that energy to people. This is one of the best fights in the world, if not the best in the world. It demands respect.
And how much do you look forward to the opportunity of putting it on him?
There comes a point in every great fighter's life where they have to meet someone who's going to cement their legacy when they're gone. You know, people will be talking about me and Deontay Wilder in a long time to come. And they'll say, you know what, they're both of them guys really stood up to the task and fought each other when they were in their primes. I'm not waiting for Deontay to get to 38, and he ain't waiting for me to get there. We're active now and at the best of our careers.
All right, and so in that clip, you heard both of the gentlemen speak to what it's like to face off against each other. And again, we're still at the level of mutual respect. Deontay Wilder spoke of energy and how palpable it is, both to he and Tyson, as well as all who are around them and surround them, you know, training camp, what have you. And then you have Tyson, who spoke about legacy and wanting to make sure this fight happened during their prime. And what that really speaks to on the part of both gentlemen is a sense of courage and fortitude to want to face each other while they're at the top of their game, undefeated champions. And so again, these first few clips set up both fighters having a healthy respect for the other. And of course, as we tell a story, any good story has a story arc and has a plot twist. And stay tuned for that plot twist, because it's definitely going to come.
You know, I'm just looking forward to an excellent fight. I know what he's going to bring. He's going to bring ferocity and power, and I'm going to bring skill and technique. You know, I'm not saying he can't box, but he shouldn't think I can't punch neither, because so many times people have made the mistake of thinking, oh, he's a light puncher or whatever. Then if that was the case, why didn't Vladimir walk right through me and hit me with that big steel hammer he possesses? And everybody else over the years, I don't punch as lightly as you think. One hit of a heavyweight and it's over. Some punch harder than others, some have one punch knockout power. Some people take 2 or 3 punches to do the damage. But it's not about who can punch the hardest in the heavyweight division. Not at all, because every man who weighs over 200 pounds can punch hard. You know, my daughter's 8 years old, and if she punched me in the face, I know I've been hit off her, you know what I mean? So you don't want a big heavyweight puncher in the face, no matter if he's rated to be a puncher or not. And believe it or not, the people who's always been the ones who's supposed to be the knockout artists who have fought, I never really ever got hurt off them, but the ones who had no punch records at all, they're the ones who had me down twice.
Maybe underestimated it.
Underestimated them, the power. So this is what I'm saying for him not to do, is don't underestimate anything. At any given moment, it can be over in a flash.
All right, and so I think now is a good a time as any to bring up the concepts that we've touched on before in the Connor and the Beef video. And of course, I'm talking about psychological manipulation, body language, and psychological warfare. And so we'll just take a look at manipulation and body language as you witness Tyson unload his first dose of study and what we call colloquially reading Deontay Wilder. And so basically what you witnessed here was Tyson being well aware, as we all are, because of course Deontay won't allow us to not be aware that he's the bronze bomber, and basically that alludes to his right hand being a bomb, meaning that being his strong hand, meaning that it's a powerful shot. And that's basically Deontay Wilder's bread and butter. He's not known as a boxer, he's known as a power puncher. And so if you want to disarm somebody without actually physically touching them, then what you do is you take what they consider their strength, their bread and butter, their power move, and you turn it against them. You weaken it. And by doing so, you cause them to doubt themselves. And so I'm not going to say that Tyson got to Deontay. I'll let Deontay speak for himself. And so psychological manipulation basically aims to change the behavior or perception of others through deceptive or underhanded tactics. You can also influence somebody through mental distortion or emotional exploitation, of course with the intention to seize power, control, benefits, or privileges. And basically what we're talking about here is being able to break down one's will without having to use physical force, which I already alluded to in the setup. And then body language. It's pretty self-explanatory, but just so we're all on the same page, it covers everything from our facial expression to any nervous twitch we might have or uncomfortable posture. Just pay attention to the body language of both people. You know, as this interview journeys on, what you'll see is that both of them become more animated, both of them get more into it, and you can see the adrenaline flowing through one more than the other, but I can see it through both of them. So just pay close attention and you'll notice the manipulation and body language at work in the next clip, and then moving forward with the remaining clips.
Someone you don't see coming that does the damage. And that, for me, that's what I'll be looking to do to you. Sneak one in round the corner where you don't see. Little feints, things that heavyweights from today don't do and that you've never faced before is footwork, because there isn't anyone who practices footwork like me. Feints, sweet science, and that's what I'll bring to you. And the fact that I've chosen you, that I've had 2 fights coming back and I want this fight, is a statement for the world to see. Because I don't just want to be someone who's coming back to win a 2-time heavyweight champion of the world. I want this to be one of the greatest comebacks in boxing history, similar to the George Foreman and the other great comeback fighters, Muhammad Ali and all those guys. If I can win this belt, they'll put me amongst the greats of the comebacks, and all the controversy and all the stuff that I've been through all adds to the flavour. And there's no turning back now. This is it. Don't get scared now.
And with this clip, you heard Tyson refer to a comeback. Now, for those of you who don't know, who aren't aware, over the last, I would say, 3 or so years, Tyson has been his own worst enemy. Now, we know in the ring he's undefeated as a professional, but outside of the ring where it really counts, he has definitely taken some losses. I don't want to cover them in detail here. I do plan to produce a postscript where I go in depth about Tyson Fury, because I think his story is one that will resonate with you and that we can use as a backdrop to further encourage and admonish. But getting back to this clip, it's important to understand that Tyson is now in a better place, a much better place. And if one didn't know about that past, you couldn't even tell that he had had struggles. by this interview. He's composed, he's poised, he's well spoken. You can tell he's very thoughtful. And what you'll see as we run through the rest of these clips is even as he becomes more animated and emotional, or at least emotive, he still maintains a certain level of poise and control, and what we would say grace under fire, all things considered within the context of an interview.
You get scared when you hear that?
I fear no man. You know, the way I came up, the way I was raised, it allowed me not to fear no man. You know, I go by faith and not by sight. I'm a very religious man.
I look at Deontay, and I see a likable, kind person. But like he said, he switches in the ring and he wants to do damage to you. But looking at him across this table, he doesn't look massive, he looks kind of skinny, he's got the athletic basketball build, come into boxing late, you know, and his nickname for me gives me the psychological edge, because he calls himself the Bronze Bomber. That means a third place man, but he has so much gold on him, so he's obviously gunning to be number one. So this belt's made of gold and green, not bronze, so I'll be relieving you of that and I'll get you a bronze one to cover it instead on the mic. They may call you the Bronze Bomber, but I am the Furious One. You will feel the wrath of the Fury.
Alright, and so a couple things here. Firstly, we hear Deontay Wilder reference the Bible verse, we walk by faith and not by sight. Or rather, he makes it singular, of course, talking about himself, and that he fears no man because he walks by faith and not by sight. And so that verse is taken out of the Holy Bible. Second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 7. And the Apostle Paul is talking to a particular church in the city of Corinth. So this verse is talking about believers in Jesus Christ, and how we are preparing ourselves here for life after death. And in doing so, we ought to operate with faith. Of course, he mentions other things in the chapter. But we're going to focus on faith and sight. Faith meaning because we don't know the things of this world, we have to operate in the faith that tells us that God has our best interests in mind at all times, and that he'll never put more on us than we can bear, and that if he brings us to something, he will bring us through it if we have, yep, you named it, faith. And so again, I say that to say this: we have to be wise, we have to be careful, we have to be cognizant of both using and misusing scripture. Getting back to the point here, as you'll see in preceding clips, Deontay Wilder is not a Christian, and I don't even know if he's aware of how he's using that verse, or if he knows that it references the Bible. But I do know that he is not a believer, and so it brings to mind the question, what faith is he referring to? A faith in who? You know, he does have the mantra, see it, believe it, receive it, which I'll address in preceding clips as well. But again, I just wanted to bring home the point of being aware of how we use and misuse words, and in this case, Bible verses. And then we have Tyson continuing his study of Deontay Wilder, and what I observed as a mocking of Deontay, calling him confused in essence. Of course, he alludes to his nickname as being the Bronze Bomber. Bronze, we know, means third place, which basically means loser, because if you're not first, you're a loser. And then he references Deontay's goal and says that clearly he wants to be number one, then makes reference to his belt. And so here again we see psychological warfare at play, the attempt to manipulate, disarm, create doubt in the combatant and the opponent. And while it is subtle, not as brash, one would say, as Conor McGregor, but again, as the clips go on, you'll see Tyson does in fact up the ante. He ratchets up his verbal assault and his mental assault, and we'll see what ensues from there.
Your defence is quite leaky, you throw wild punches, you're eager to land. I'll tag you. I'm going to tag you, it's over. I'm not 40 years old like Luis Ortiz. When I get you going, I will jump on you and I'll get you out of there for sure. And when you start swinging, that's welcome to my world. Christmas come early. Them big swings, I've got the Floyd Mayweather heavyweight defence. No one can land a swing on me. Nobody, from any direction, up, coming round the corner, I see them all coming. So unless you're going to bring something I ain't seen before, which is very unlikely because I've watched all your fights and I know what you do, you look for them big wild punches, then you can't beat me. You haven't got a prayer really.
Welcome to my world. Christmas come early. Man, I love Tyson Fury. Dude is comical, he's entertaining, and I get what he's doing. And so those two comments will allow us to dovetail perfectly into the discussion of the 48 Laws of Power, written by Robert Greene, if I'm not mistaken. And so what I want to do here is focus on a few of the laws that I can see on display. And of course you can make your own judgment, include laws that I have not, remove laws you think aren't pertinent here, etc. And so I'll start with law number 5, which references the importance of reputation, how it's the cornerstone of power, and how it alone can allow you to intimidate and win, again, before you even physically touch your opponent. And so both fighters have a reputation, but I think it's needless to say that Deontay Wilder's reputation is a little larger than that of Tyson Fury, if for no other reason than he has garnered attention that Tyson Fury has not, at least here in the States. And so we know he's called the Bronze Bomber. We know he's loud and boisterous and flamboyant, and he refers to himself and his crew as the Bomb Squad, again making an allusion to the Brown Bomber, Joe Louis, and then again the power in his right hand, his money punch. And then of course we know highlights tell the tale as well. We've seen him on YouTube, we've seen him on IG, whatever. That boy right hand is bad. I've seen him knock cats out who were defending. So he punches through your defense and puts you on your butt. So again, man, that's his reputation, and we'll see if it has psyched Tyson out. Now, my observation, my analysis is that it has not, but we never know. People talk themselves up, people mask fear and intimidation in all sorts of ways. Moving on to law number 6, court attention at all costs. Everything is judged by its appearance. What is unseen counts for nothing. Never let yourself get lost in the crowd or buried in oblivion. Stand out. Be conspicuous at all costs. Make yourself a magnet of attention by appearing larger, more colorful, more mysterious than the bland and timid masses. And so knowing this, which of the two boxers employ this in their arsenal? I would venture to say that Deontay Wilder absolutely uses this law, even if he's unconscious of it, unaware of it. He clearly gets off by being conspicuous, by being a magnet of attention, by attracting people to himself. Now, some of that is probably a result of his natural personality, but I think a lot of it is a part of his brand. What he wants the media to see, what he wants the masses to see, the kind of energy that he wants to exude and portray for his fans. And on the other side, Tyson Fury, well, I'll say this. I think anybody in the spotlight will build a persona that they want to attract people for whatever reason. You know, whether they draw from the love of the crowd, whether they feel like they have something to prove, or any other number of reasons. And so I won't let him off the hook here, but I think clearly Deontay Wilder has created a personality and a persona for himself, alter ego if you will, which, you know, is straight from his mouth. And then we'll stop here for this particular clip with the 15th law. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. If the ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than through total annihilation. The enemy will recover and will seek revenge, crush him not only in body but in spirit. And so clearly here we see that one of the laws of power is very matter of fact. It refers to both the physical and the psychological, and that you must first of all know who your enemy is, know what they're made of, and then know what it takes to break them all the way down and not leave any semblance, any ember of confidence. Because where there's any type of confidence or assurance, then there's always room for redemption or comeback or whatever word you want to throw in there. And so in this case, we see that Tyson is further reading Deontay Wilder. He's calling him a wild puncher. And of course, Deontay has heard this before. Different boxing analysts, quote unquote experts, what have you, have all pointed this out. And I'm sure even in his camp, they address this in their training in preparation for him. And so this is not a breaking news story. However, people are human. They are prone to emotions. They're prone to be defensive when being attacked so thoroughly and so accurately. And so we'll see how Deontay reacts to this both here in the interview and in the ring when they fight. But again, just wanted to bring attention to this law because I think Tyson uses this basically to perfection, at least in the psychological aspect. Now, of course, we don't see a reaction from Deontay in this clip, but something's brewing. Absolutely. Believe that.
What do you say to that, Deontay?
It's going to be a big task to get in this belt. To step up to the opportunity, I salute you and I respect you for that. But it's not going to be easy, Tyson. I can like you and I can say I can love you as a man and look in your eyes and really genuinely mean that. But when that night of that fight comes, you're not going to be talking to Deontay Wilder. You're not going to be looking in the eyes of Deontay Wilder.
Who am I going to be looking in the eyes of?
You're looking in the eyes of the bronze bomber. You're going to feel him as well too, just like the feeling that you feel him now.
Is that like an alter ego or something? Or is it
is it well alive?
Is it like a spirit that comes into you, or what is it?
It could be it could be an alter ego. It can be a spirit. It may be an ancestry spirit. Who knows? I'm part Nigerian as well
I don't
too.
believe in all that stuff at all.
I do.
Because Jesus Christ is my saviour, and I don't believe in all spirits and alter egos. And even mentioning stuff like that on TV, you're getting it. And honestly,
that's the difference.
If God is with
between
me,
and you.
nobody can be against me. And if you're entering spirits and stuff into your body, you can't win. You've already lost. You can't beat me. I sit here today as a sincere man who tells the truth and hides nothing behind no curtains. I'm beating you. 1,000,000%. I've not got no doubts. Even after all the time off, you cannot beat me.
Alright, so before I get into what I want to cover with this clip, let me be very clear. I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to castigate or demean either of these brothers for employing any tactic that they may use in order to get an advantage psychologically. What I'm doing is pointing out, much like I did in the Conor versus the Beef video, the fact that it behooves us, especially in sport, in combat, in competition, to be able to defeat our opponent without having to put hands on them. That's just wise. That's just strategic. And so I'm not saying anything is necessarily nefarious or sinister about employing any of these tactics. What I will note is that these tactics are employed with malicious and sinister intentions. And we'll get into that in other videos where I connect the dot to how the powers that be use these tactics on a day-to-day basis, with their end goal being total submission by us, whether willful or otherwise, so that we, without even knowing it, are playing right into their hands and the agenda that they have set out for us. But anyway, getting back to this coverage, I just wanted to make that very clear because I just felt compelled based on what I think some of the reaction may be to the coverage, and I just wanted to make sure that we're all on the same page. Of course, I make no apologies for anything that I say, but I do want to make sure that what I'm sharing is very explicit and direct and clear. And so what this brother Deontay shared in this clip is that when he enters the ring, no matter how he feels about you, as Deontay Wilder, in combat, he is no longer Deontay, but he is now transformed into the Bronze Bomber. And so Tyson very adeptly picks up on that and picks it apart. And he challenges him with the question, if not you, then who's going to be in the ring? And then, of course, Deontay responds with the Bronze Bomber. And then Tyson proceeds to pick that apart and ask him whether or not he's referring to a spirit or alter ego. And Deontay responds semi-flustered. You can tell he wasn't expecting that because he was getting revved up in his psych up of himself, you know, to further build up confidence for the fight. But Tyson cut that off at the head and further played mental games with him. And so that brings us to our next point of spirit possession. And the reason I wanted to pick up on this and actually magnify it is because it's very important that we are aware of the spirits that we entertain. Now, I know that the majority of us don't necessarily have a desire to conjure up and summon spirits in any ritualistic way. But make no mistake about it, we do invite spirits in our life, in our circles, in our homes, in our bodies, in our minds on a daily basis. Directly, indirectly, consciously, subconsciously, liminally, and subliminally. We have to be very careful, very, very careful about what we say. Because even speaking the wrong words or putting forth the wrong sentiments can invite spirits. And of course, we know as believers that our warfare is not physical at all, it's spiritual, because the weapons are not carnal. But we deal with spiritual wickedness, evil forces that are supernatural. Natural meaning the flesh, so they exceed the flesh. They are separate from the flesh. And so that means that our warfare includes spirits. And so when you are seeking to be possessed by a spirit, or when you allow yourself to be possessed by a spirit, then think about it like warfare. You're inviting the enemy into your territory without even having your guard up. So it's like a fortified wall with the door, and that door is just wide open, and all that's stopping the person from coming in is not knowing that the door is there. But once you invite them, they see where the door is, they enter, and they're there. They can then lock the door after them, or after they have invited the rest of their soldiers with them, and they can wreak havoc because you're naive to the power they have and the intention they have. So it just behooves us to be aware. And of course, the brother Tyson retorts with the assertion that he believes in Jesus Christ and Jesus is his savior, and he's already beaten Deontay, because if God is for him, who can be against him? And so all these things are in the Bible. I do have some questions about whether or not Tyson is actually a Christian, and that's because, not that I'm being judgmental in that way, but just going by his own actions, his own words, and knowing that being a gypsy, he's most likely Catholic, Roman Catholic, and he does carry a rosary to the ring. And so I have some issues with Catholicism and it being considered Christianity, but that's neither here nor there. For the purposes of this video, we're just going to go ahead and focus back on spirit possession. I'll delve deeper into spirit possession in a postscript, but I just wanted to touch on it here so that we're aware of the significance of inviting spirits in your life. Because like I said, if you don't believe in demons, keep rocking with your boy and you will be a believer. Trust me.
I'll retire unbeaten heavyweight champion of the world, like Rocky Marciano, the second man to do it in history. You can't beat me, and 10 more like you can't beat me.
Hey, listen, real briefly with this clip, I just included it because I wanted to touch on a few more of the laws of power and even touch on the art of war to see if we can find any correlation, any tactics that are being used. But if we go back to the laws of power, I would say we are at law 28, which refers to entering action with boldness. So we're talking about being bold as opposed to being timid, because timidity here is characterized as being dangerous, because any mistakes you commit through audacity are easily corrected with more audacity. Everyone admires the bold, no one honors the timid. And so to people who want to aspire to power, to anybody who follows this creed, finds this helpful, beneficial, they believe that boldness overrides timidity always. And so I would dare say that Tyson, and whatever kind of personality he has naturally, his disposition or whatever, here he talking that talk. His actions are definitely bold. His words are bold. You can see his confidence, eye contact, posture. He looks very poised. Again, it's very difficult to offend somebody and to disrupt someone from their game when they exercise poise and they're assured. Because most likely when somebody's assured, that means they've already treated this like chess and not just thought in the moment, but thought steps ahead to know what their actions and what their words will evoke out of the combatant or out of their opponent. So again, just real brief, I just wanted to touch on that here. You know, Tyson knows what he's doing, man. And I think he's sincere. So again, he's putting on maybe a little bit, being a little extra for, you know, for the cameras. He says he's not, but who knows? We're trying to sell a fight. But I do think he has a great level of sincerity in what he's doing, particularly knowing that he's invoking his faith into the picture. And so let's go to the art of war quickly. Art of war references holding out bait to entice the enemy. This will feign disorder, and at that time you can crush the opponent. So again, man, we see Tyson is playing mind games. Now, as confident as somebody is, if you look them in their face with strong eye contact, strong posture, poise, control, and with words that hurt or with words that connect because of accuracy or truthfulness, then I'm pretty sure that's going to have an impact on you. And you may end up taking the bait. And then let's go to the stratagem lesson from the art of war, number 18. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained, you will also suffer a defeat. And if you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. So again, do I think that Tyson is being methodical? Do I think he knows what his words are doing to Deontay Wilder? I do. Do I think he read the art of war and said, let me go ahead and use 18 when we get to this question? No, of course not. But again, we just know that the nature of people when they are seeking to get an upper hand is to employ certain survival tactics, certain Darwinian tactics, survival of the fittest. So I see you, I'm going to prey on the weakness because it's either me or you. And that's all it really boils down to. I'm not saying either one of these cats read the books and executing each law, each lesson line by line or certain points, and it's that calculated. Of course not. I'm just showing that the nature of man has brought about this book and not vice versa.
See, the difference between me and you You got your mind, you explore it narrowly. I'm an open-minded person. What you believe in, I may not believe in. What I believe in, you may not believe in. That's just the case that you just showed to me.
100%.
But that's the thing about it. Just like I feel like I'm a better fighter, you may feel like you're a better fighter than me.
I don't feel it.
You say you know it.
I know it.
And then on that date, you're gonna have to show it.
I will show
And
it.
that's the thing about it. See, it's good to talk. It's good to show emotion. It's good to have, show expression about it, to show how passionate you are about it. That's the easy part. That's just like a friend on the outside looking in, trying to tell you to throw a punch and throw combinations. Something that they see, it may not be that. But it's gonna be a point in time that you're gonna have to prove, and you're gonna have to show the world everything you said. That's why you have to be careful, because your words are powerful. What you say out into the universe, it will manifest. What you say will come to pass. But how it comes, you never know. This is not your time. Your time may come, but this is not your time. You may think it's your time. You may feel like it's your time. But it's not your time, Tyson. This is my time.
Definitely
And it will
not.
forever be my time until I retire. I'm sorry to tell you that, because I speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it. Speak it, believe it, receive it.
All right, and so here what I want to focus on is that mantra that Deontay uttered towards the end of the clip. Speak it, believe it, receive it. And so that brings to mind concepts like visualization and The Secret, name it and claim it, prosperity gospel, whatever. And I just wanted to highlight the importance of not being tricked and deceived into these doctrines, which can cause us trouble, which can cause us to separate ourselves from God. And of course, I'm talking to believers here. If you're not a believer, then I would just warn you to guard your spirit and to make sure that what you're giving your energy to, again, both satisfies your life here and your life after death. Because regardless of what you believe or not, it doesn't change the truth. And you have to ask yourself some really tough questions. One of them being, is what you believe in, is what you abide by, is the life that you lead worth the potential consequences after death? Those consequences are one truthful thing, regardless of what you believe them to be. And so I'm certain that we will all be judged for our actions by God, the God of the Bible, the creator of heaven and earth. And so my lifestyle is going to put me in position to spend eternity with God. And thusly, my lifestyle satisfies both my life here and after life. So again, I pose the same question to you. What does your lifestyle say about life after death? Does it set you up for life after death? Does it prepare you for life after death? And the point here, to tie it back into this mantra, is that oftentimes, and again I'm going to go back to believers, we're given candy coated poison. And it's our own fault because we haven't studied to show ourselves approved. We haven't put the time in to actually understand what God's word says and what his plan for our life actually is. Because if we did take that time, then a lot of this crap, a lot of this foolishness that is being pushed on us, both inside and outside of the church, wouldn't be able to fly. But because people tell us things that satisfy our flesh, that tickle our ears, that satiate that carnal desire, those three lusts, or I should say two lusts, and then the pride of life, lust of the flesh, lust of the eyes. So it becomes easy for us to swallow that pill of deception. But again, speak it, believe it, receive it should not be a philosophy of anybody who ascribes to Christianity or who considers himself or herself a follower of Christ. Now, of course, we ought to think on those things that are good, that are of good report, that are pure, that are righteous, that are holy. And I won't go too much deeper into it. Again, the point was just to warn us about following false doctrine, and then for non-believers, just to be careful and consider whatever your lifestyle is in the scope of both on earth and after death. You know, these are really pertinent questions that you need to ask yourself. And I'm convinced if you're honest with yourself after deliberating those questions, then you'll come to God. Because there's no way that anybody in their right mind can really contemplate those deep things of life and walk away not believing in God. It's no way. It's no way. I'm convinced that people deny and reject God because they don't want to be responsible for the life that God has called us to live. And that's just the long and the short of it. Because he's called us to a great sacrifice, a great personal sacrifice, a great physical sacrifice, a great emotional sacrifice, a great spiritual sacrifice. And most men can't handle that, as evident by the rejection of God. Because I don't understand why else you would reject him when he has promised us a peace and a joy and a contentment and a love that the world would never know and the world would never be able to take away. And he's promised us eternity with him. So it's no way that anybody in their right mind who's honest with himself, herself, will reject God. And so I'll leave you with this. You can speak whatever you want into the universe, as Deontay pointed out. You can believe whatever you want about the universe, and you can receive whatever you want from the universe. But I ask you this: how did that universe come into existence? Did that universe create itself? And if that universe created itself, how did it? Because in order to create yourself, you have to exist. I cannot create anything outside of my existence. I have to exist in order to create. So when you get into those kinds of questions, or those kinds of considerations, or contemplations, then it forces you to be honest about certain things and to confront some truths. And that's all I want you to do. I want you to be able to be honest and candid and vulnerable enough to confront those truths.
Let me tell you, all that stuff you just said, you're already beat. Anyone who has to have an alter ego and not be themselves in there and trying to get in someone's mind like that, you can't beat me. And if I'm not talking to Deontay Wilder, let me talk to the other person inside you, the bronze bomber. You're looking at a man who stands in the light. I can't be beat by any alter egos. I can't be beat. I've already beaten you. I've beaten you once in Dusseldorf. I'll beat you again in America.
Never.
Can't be done. I can't be beat.
Even when you stand aside me, you feel
I do speak it. I do believe it. And I do say it to the world. Because I want the world to know the truth. And people like you want them to know nothing. You might say speak it, believe it, see it, but I don't know what you believe in.
Believe it, receive
I
it.
don't, but I know what you believe in. You believe in something I don't.
Well, that's the problem.
We don't believe in the same things.
And we're from a different
And this
world.
is where I don't like you anymore.
Culture.
I came here today thinking me and you were similar. Well, sitting around this table, I know that me and you are so worlds apart.
Most definitely.
Worlds apart.
Light years.
I look to nothing to come
Light
inside
years.
me and win fights. Only the power of God above. That's it. And I get the power from that. I don't get the power from anything else. I don't need a second person to come and help me. I've already beaten people like you many, many times. I'm bumping into people like you every single day of my life. And I give them the same answer.
There's only one person.
Do you know what I say to you? Ask and you shall receive. Ask and you'll receive.
There's only one Bronze Palmer.
Yeah, I can see it now. I can see it. I can see the alter ego coming through.
Don't you feel
you and your alter ego are a pack of bums.
Don't you feel the ancestry, the energy?
I don't feel nothing. The ancestry, what is it?
What you will.
Where are you from? Where are you from?
What you will.
Where are you from? Who are you?
Will.
You're a bum from Alabama who's getting knocked out. That's it. Listen, you might be the only one who's bronze bomber. They don't even say that in the US. You've copied that from England. You heard the fans saying there's only one Tyson Fury, and you liked it. So you decided to copy it. Listen, I beat men like you time and time again.
It's going to go through your chest like cough medicine in the middle of the night.
Doesn't matter.
It's going to tingle through your hips.
It does tingle. I've been hurt before. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about going hurt. You can't land it. You ain't got the skill to land.
From your feet.
You ain't got the skill to land it.
You ain't never felt
Definitely
no power like mine. You never
power. Yes, I have felt power
like mine.
You're
never
unique.
Seen power.
You're like a little
like
dust in
mine.
the ocean. You ain't got no power. Power in what? I felt the ultimate power from above, mate. The power I'm feeling for you is negative. Negative energy.
You ain't felt that because I told you a long time ago I'm gonna baptize you.
Yeah, well, let's see if you
and
can
I'm gonna show you I'm gonna put the spirit inside of you.
100%. I don't want anything that spirits that you claim I don't want.
It's gonna be your God against my God.
Time and time again.
And we gonna see, may the best man win in everything. But 100%. I guarantee you that right there, at the end of the night, it came with me and it leaving me.
Well, I'll promise you this and I'll make a deal. After I beat you, I'll give you that belt back, because that belt don't mean shit to me.
Make sure you keep your promises.
I will win that and I'll hand it you back.
Make sure you keep your
because
promises, because I come from a place where I had unfulfilled promises. Yeah. And I've had enough of unfulfilled promises.
I'll give you it back.
I told my daughter when she was 1 year old.
You wouldn't need Sophia to leave you, would you? So
I told my daughter when she was 1 year old, I looked her in her eyes and not know what to face. My journey in this sport, just getting into this sport at 21 years old, I told my daughter. I looked her in her eyes. I told her Daddy will be a world champion.
Good stuff.
He's going to be able to support you beyond your belief. I fulfilled that promise, and I'm going to continue to do it along with the 5 others.
You can't.
No man on earth will ever beat me, Tyson. No man on earth. I don't care if you name after the great Mike Tyson. No man's going to beat me, and I'm going to show you.
There's only one bronze bomber. This brother Deontay Wilder, man, I give him his props. He understands how to sell. He's definitely a salesman. Say whatever you want to about him. He knows how to put on, both inside and outside of the ring. He knows what his strengths are, and he plays to them, good or bad. And so for this clip, I want to briefly go over the concept of psyching. Psyching. So we'll go over the definitions of psyching and then use that concept in 2 distinct ways, both of which we see employed by each boxer in a tit-for-tat, ping-pong type of manner. So psyching can be defined as putting into the right psychological frame of mind to excite emotionally, to undermine the confidence of by psychological means, i.e. intimidation, to analyze, solve, or comprehend, to anticipate or guess the intentions of, to become confused or mentally deranged, to figure out or decipher. And then we have the 2 concepts. One is psyching yourself up, which can also be characterized as preparing yourself, getting in the mood, steeling yourself, getting into the right frame of mind, gearing yourself up, nerving yourself, summoning up the courage, and girding your loins. Again, that's psyching yourself up. And then we have psyching someone out, which can also be characterized as unsettling, to upset, to disturb, to daunt, to agitate, to unnerve, and to make someone nervous. And so what you see with these 2 concepts again in play by both boxers in a very back and forth type of dynamic. And I just wanted to highlight this, to iterate this, so that we see, again, another form of psychological warfare that is often used not only in the sport of boxing, but in any sport that we come across and in life. Again, all of these videos, all of the content that I share is not just about that particular topic. Again, the topics are only used as backdrops. I'm much more concerned about the application to life, so that we can grow, so that we can examine ourselves and grow, both internally and externally, so we can become aware of our surroundings, so that we know how to better operate and navigate any environment that we're in, so that we understand the types of relationships that we have, so we can maximize on our opportunities, so we can recognize our value and establish a strong foundation for our values. All of these things are important, and they're tied into one another. They coexist. And when understood properly, then you can apply to wisdom.
It doesn't matter.
Guys, say what I mean.
Men like you can't beat men like me. You need alter egos and
This
other
is a
help.
special
I
moment.
do it on my own, buddy.
And then, so in conclusion for this, you notice that Deontay, in true Deontay Wilder fashion, is psyching himself up by screaming out, "There's only one bronze bomber." And he keeps on saying it. And then he kind of mellows it out. And then he ends with a somewhat grounded story of a promise he made to his daughter, a fulfilled promise. And then he contrasts it with his growing tired of hearing unfulfilled promises.
We've got to leave it.
Come on, baby. Go baptize you. I'm gonna break out with the
You've
spirit
been
and shout.
promising. You've been promising to baptize me
Come
for
on,
a
baby.
long
I'm
time.
baptize.
We've got to leave it there, guys. We have an exciting fight
Holy
for you.
Spirit.
Hey, beloved, God will not be mocked. Now, you saw Deontay Wilder in that exchange get caught up in the moment. I'm not judging the sincerity of his heart or what his convictions are, but I'll say this once again: God will not be mocked. And so all that talk about baptizing and getting the Holy Spirit and all of that, this borderline sacrilege. I won't use the term blasphemous, but either way you slice it, that can't be tolerated. You would think that Tyson would have corrected him. Don't know why he didn't. Probably was caught up in it, probably was caught off guard, who knows. But I'll correct him right here and now. Dear brother, nothing but love for you. I don't care what your belief system is. What you can't do, what you won't do, is mock God. And that's not even for the sake of God, that's for your sake. Because he plays no games when it comes to that. Alright, beloved, we've reached the end of this coverage. It is my prayer that everything shared here has resonated with you on whatever level you need it to, in order for it to positively impact your life. And as always, I look forward to sharing and growing with you in the future. Stay tuned to all things LUSU Media Group and all things LUSU Designs. And I guarantee you'll be in for a blessing. Not because of me, but because of God working through me. I live to be used by him, and it is for that reason and for that cause that I bring you this content. And so once again, I pray that this was helpful and that you can take away some gems and apply them directly to your life, because that's what it's all about. So until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.
Ow.
My power is real, baby, and you will
I
feel
can feel
the
nothing.
baptism.
When I look at you, I see a
Trust
doctor,
me.
a weak
And
man.
that's what I want you to feel when it's time to get in that
100%.
ring.
You're a
So when I do knock you out,
skinny
it's
little
gonna
man.
be that very moment.
You're a basketball
Remember,
player. Came
you
into
damn
boxing
right.
at 21
You
years old.
damn right.
I've been doing
I'm
this all
every
my
bit
life.
of it, baby.
I beat men like you
I'm
7 days a week.
agile and mobile and hostile, baby. I got the
Matter.
heart of a
You can be as
lion.
hostile as you want.
I am a king.
I will take that and eat it.
I am
Feed it
a
back to you.
king. I am a king.
You ain't a king.
I'm a king.
Where's it
baby.
say king?
And you will
It says
see
third
it.
place loser in
You
your
will
name.
see it.
You're looking at
You will
king.
feel it.
My name is
I would have
Gypsy
you
King.
saying I
You're a
spoke
doctor.
it. I believe it now, and you receive
You're
it.
my workman. You work for me
You're
now.
gonna see.
You work
You're
for
gonna
me.
see.
Look at the way you're dressed.
You're gonna see.
Look at the way I'm dressed.
Well-
I'm dressed like a king. You're dressed like a dosser.
Really? You look like you work for the office for somebody,
Yeah.
apprentice
I
or
don't know
something.
what. I don't know what
For
where you
me-
got that belt from.
For
but
me right
I'd
here,
take
baby.
it right back.
Hey, I should have been in a group.
You should have been a ball player because when you meet a real fighting man, you're gonna wish you were a ball player.
Well, hey.
But this ain't basketball. This is fighting. I didn't choose this as a second option.
Because if it was basketball,
I
I'd have
choose
been
this
the dunk
for
on
the
you.
first option.
Just like
I choose this because I
just
wanted
like
to be
boxing,
the best.
I'm gonna dunk
You're
on
getting
you.
it.
Easy.
Listen, you came here, the Brits were
Easy.
afraid of you, the other didn't want to fight you, but I fight any man born from his and you're no
that.
different.
And I
I'm
respect
knocking
that.
you spark out.
And I respect
Thanks,
that. And
Jim.
that
Thank
come with
you.
Out.
Come on,
I
guys.
respect that.
Legs kicking on the floor.
I can't wait.
got
I
it.
can't wait.
Dosser.
I can't wait.
Because I see people like
There's
you every
only
day.
one Bruce Mama.
Stop.
There's only one Bruce Mama.
I'm the golden
There's
child.
only one Bruce Mama.
Tyson Fury is coming to America. And a king like me, where does he go to find a wife? Queens, baby. And I already went to Brooklyn to kick your ass once. You're a bum. You work for me, Dosser.
I can't wait.
I can't wait.
That's a wrap. Don't forget to like, share, follow, subscribe, and comment. Also check us out on IG, Twitter, Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, and Patreon, all under LUSU Media Group. And as always, you can get in-depth content on Patreon once you subscribe. Also check out our LUSU Designs lifestyle apparel, which you can now purchase online. See the description for the links. And last but certainly not least, shout out all my sponsors for their support. Definitely appreciate the love on their end. Their info is also below in the description. Alright family, until next time, be blessed and be a blessing.